Hi, everyone, and welcome to God's Plan, Your Part, a podcast where our goal is to read the entire Bible in a year, seeking to understand God's plan of redemption while discovering daily and practically your part in it.
All right, welcome back to God's Plan, Your Part. Today we are in Exodus 4 to 6. Basically, this is going to sum it up quickly, but chapter 4 is basically God continuing to talk to Moses. Chapter 5 is Pharaoh being like, nope, you're not taking these people. In fact, they're going to work even harder. And chapter 6 is God saying, no, I am going to do what I said I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. So, I think that Jenny has some issues with the text.
I don't know if it's issues, just a little bit of like, oh, okay, that's weird. Chapter 4 lends itself to that really awkward stuff.
If you are reading through the Bible for the first time, if you're listening through the Bible for the first time, you will be introduced to Exodus 4:24. Exodus 4:24 kicks off a short little story that is very strange, and many people are very confused about it. So I don't think I'm going to try to give you the definitive answer on what it is. But Jenny, I'm thinking you probably heard this story for the first time.
Well, we were reading through about just how they're returning to Egypt to basically go and make the case that Pharaoh should let the people go. And kind of out of nowhere, in verse 24, it says, at a lodging place along the way, the Lord met Moses and sought to put him to death. And then out of nowhere, his wife circumcises their son and is like throwing the excess at Moses' feet and being real sassy.
Talking about being a bridegroom of blood.
Yep. It's very strange.
And the Lord honors the fact that Zipporah somehow intercedes for her family. Mm-hmm. So this is bizarre because, one, it is just plain bizarre.
It's just weird.
2, Moses' son is not circumcised. So circumcision we're introduced to in Genesis. It is the sign of God's covenant, and it is required for all Hebrew children.
Such a weird sign.
Hebrew boy children. It's not as weird as you think because it was not unique to only Hebrews. So it's very common in ancient Near Eastern culture. But it's still odd, I guess. But why was Moses not making sure that his offspring had the sign of the covenant? That should get your attention. That would have got their attention. Mm-hmm. Zipporah is a Midianite. She's not even Hebrew. And she understands that their son should have the sign of the covenant. And so when God seeks to kill Moses, not sure what's going on there, she intercedes on behalf of Moses.
She intervenes and in my opinion, as a wife, it kind of seems like she's just like, hey, what the heck? Get on track here and make sure that this is done because, we got a job to do and you can't be, walking into a place like Egypt demanding this and not even, living up to, what God's standards are.
So this is a weird passage. You don't want to build an entire theology on this single strange passage. But it does appear that this passage is meant to elevate the importance of circumcision to the original audience, but also probably for us elevate the fact that God requires faithfulness to the things he's asked you to do. And we'll see this throughout Exodus. God is asking Pharaoh to let his people go. Pharaoh won't let his people go, and so God continues to judge Pharaoh. So
I would definitely call, if it was up to me, Chapter 4 would be called That Awkward Moment. And then Chapter 5 would be That Other Awkward Moment. Because we see Moses coming into Egypt and saying what God told him and Aaron to ask of Pharaoh. And after he asks for them to be released or let go, Pharaoh's like, nope, not happening. Also, we're going to make their work much harder because of your requests. And the Israelite people actually get pretty frustrated with Moses. They're like, why have you brought this evil on us? Now we have to go and find our own straw to make bricks. It's not something that's just given to us anymore, but the standard or the expectation for our work remains the same. So you've just made our work so much harder And, like, why are you even here? So I'm sure Moses, like, if I were him, I would really be second guessing myself a lot. I hate being, like, an annoyance to people, so I can't imagine the intensity of thousands upon thousands of people being frustrated by my decision making, especially when it comes to, like, being a slave and my work getting harder, but the expectation still remains the same.
Yeah, it doesn't quite go the way that people probably thought. It's probably like, wow, God sent this guy.
He's going to save us, and then it's
actually,
also really bad.
He's not. I would guess that if Moses were to watch the movies that we have watched that tell us about the story of Moses, he'd be a little bit disappointed that his brother Aaron is not more involved. Because Aaron is going to become kind of like the mouthpiece of Moses. Aaron is pretty much present every time Moses is present.
I wonder why that is, though, too, because, like, God is, like, so capable of all these things. Why is he not capable to just, like, release him of that? Like, why do they have to use Aaron?
So there's a couple takes on this. One is that when he says, like, he's slow of speech, it could mean that he has a stutter. It could also mean that he's just not confident. Like, he's not trusting that he can do what God says he will do. So I think it's interesting that I think Moses' faith here is sort of lacking. Like, he's very hesitant, which, by the way, you would probably be hesitant too.
I definitely would.
Like,
yeah.
hey, barge into the president's office and tell him what to do. Like, you're gonna be like, oh, what? Like, I'm literally nobody. But God is gonna allow Aaron to help Moses. The two of them are gonna be doing a lot of these things together. Also, this is a little bit of a backtrack, but in chapter 4, when Moses is trying to convince God to get somebody else, God basically yells at him. It's like, hey, I made your mouth. Like, I can do what I want to do. It feels very similar to Job.
I was just going to say that. I put that in my Bible, too. I started and said, hey, that's when, very similar to what God said to Job.
So, if you listen to our episodes on Job, Job spends the entarity of the book begging to talk to God. I have made the earth.
I have stood in the emptiness.
He's like, do you know where the ostrich lays its eggs? Job's like, what?
What's that?
But I think those kinds of instances are really interesting because it shows us that God is the same. Job was written, Job was written and occurred earlier, but God appears the same. So that should firm up our faith because he's not some new creation that changed as people wrote about him. So then in chapter 6, we basically get God repeating again, I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I am going to get you to the land that I promised them. It belongs to you, and you will take it as a possession in Canaan. And you get like a little bit of a genealogy that focuses on the fact that Moses and Aaron are in fact Levites, which makes them priests. That's going to be formalized later on. But what do you think, Jenny?
I think some application for today is really just trusting God's plan, because I think Moses has like spoken to God. Like, he has heard God's voice. He's like seen him in the form of this burning bush in yesterday's episode. But like he's heard God say, this is my plan for this. This is what's going to happen. And it was still hard for him to trust because he's like feeling the pressures of the people. He's actually seeing Pharaoh or hearing Pharaoh just be like, outright, no, I'm not doing this. But he knows that God is going to come through because he's like literally promised him and says, it's going to happen. My hand will come down like on these people, on the land. So I think for us, we're not alone in feeling like trusting God is a hard thing, because here you have Moses and it's like literally like laid out for him. Like, this is what I'm going to do. He already knows it. It's not a surprise. But it's still hard to trust in those moments of like really scary situations. I think that can apply to us today too. Obviously we're not dealing with something as significant as that, but yeah, I think there's definitely application for us.
He's literally like watching a burning bush, hearing the voice of God, and he's like, I don't know, man. I'm not sure. So, yeah, I think that's good. like it makes sense that you have doubts, but also be encouraged that God will do what he said he will do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what all these stories are going to point to. And so we can have faith in him. We can follow him because he has promised to look after us and go before us. So great. We'll be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow we're looking at Exodus 7-9. So see you then. Exodus chapter 4. Then Moses answered, "But behold, they will not believe me or listen to my voice, for they will say the Lord did not appear to you." The Lord said to him, "What is in your hand?" He said, "A staff." And he said, "Throw it on the ground." So he threw it on the ground, and it became a serpent, and Moses ran from it. But the Lord said to Moses, "Put out your hand and catch it by the tail." So he put out his hand and caught it, and it became a staff in his hand. That they may believe that the Lord, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has appeared to you. Again the Lord said to him, "Put your hand inside your cloak." And he put his hand inside his cloak, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous like snow. Then God said, "Put your hand back inside your cloak." So he put his hand back inside his cloak, and when he took it out, behold, it was restored like the rest of his flesh. If they will not believe you, God said, or listen to the first sign, they may believe the latter sign. If they will not believe even those two signs or listen to your voice, you shall take some water from the Nile and pour it on the dry ground, and the water that you shall take from the Nile will become blood on the dry ground. But Moses said to the Lord, "O my Lord, I am not eloquent, either in the past or since you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow of speech and of tongue." Then the Lord said to him, "Who has made man's mouth? Who makes him mute or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth, and teach you what you shall speak." But he said, "O my Lord, please send someone else." Then the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, "Is there not Aaron your brother, the Levite? I know that he can speak well. Behold, he is coming out to meet you, and when he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. You shall speak to him, and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth, and with his mouth, and will teach you both what to do. He shall speak for you to the people, and he shall be your mouth, and you shall be as God to him. And take in your hand this staff, with which you shall do my signs." Moses went back to Jethro, his father-in-law, and said to him, "Please let me go back to my brothers in Egypt, to see whether they are still alive." And Jethro said to Moses, "Go in peace." And the Lord said to Moses in Midian, "Go back to Egypt, for all the men who were seeking your life are dead." So Moses took his wife and his sons, and had them ride on a donkey, and went back to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the staff of God in his hand. And the Lord said to Moses, "When you go back to Egypt, see that you do before Pharaoh all the miracles that I have put in your power. But I will harden his heart, so that he will not let the people go. Then you shall say to Pharaoh, 'Thus says the Lord, Israel is my firstborn son, and I say to you, let my son go that he may serve me. If you refuse to let him go, behold, I will kill your firstborn son.'" At a lodging place on the way, the Lord met him and sought to put him to death. Then Zipporah took a flint and cut off her son's foreskin and touched Moses' feet with it and said, "Surely you are the bridegroom of blood to me." So he let him alone. It was then that she said, "A bridegroom of blood," because of the circumcision. The Lord said to Aaron, "Go into the wilderness to meet Moses." So he went and met him at the mountain of God and kissed him. And Moses told Aaron all the words of the Lord with which he had sent him to speak, and all the signs that he had commanded him to do. Then Moses and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the people of Israel. Aaron spoke all the words the Lord had spoken to Moses, and did signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed. And when they heard that the Lord had visited the people of Israel, and that he had seen their affliction, they bowed their heads and worshipped.
Afterward Moses and Aaron went and said to Pharaoh, "Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness." But Pharaoh said, "Who is the Lord, that I should obey his voice and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, and moreover I will not let Israel go." Then they said, "The God of the Hebrews has met with us. Please let us go a 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword." But the king of Egypt said to them, "Moses and Aaron, why do you take the people away from their work? Get back to your burdens." And Pharaoh said, "Behold, the people of the land are now many, and you may make the rest of them your burdens." The same day Pharaoh commanded the taskmasters of the people and their foremen, "You shall no longer give the people straw to make bricks, as in the past. Let them go and gather straw for themselves. But the number of bricks that they made in the past you shall impose on them. You shall by no means reduce it, for they are idle. Therefore they cry, 'Let us go and offer sacrifice to our God.' Let heavier work be laid on the men, that they may labor at it and pay no regard to lying words." So the taskmasters and the foremen of the people went out and said to the people, "Thus says Pharaoh, I will not give you straw. Go get your straw yourselves wherever you can find it, but your work will not be reduced in the least." So the people were scattered throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble for straw. The taskmasters were urgent, saying, "Complete your work, your daily task each day, as when there was straw." And the foremen of the people of Israel, whom Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over him, were beaten and were asked, "Why have you not done all of your task of making bricks today and yesterday as in the past?" Then the foreman of the people of Israel came and cried to Pharaoh, "Why do you treat your servants like this? No straw is given to your servants, yet they say to us, 'Make bricks,' and behold, your servants are beaten, but the fault is in your own people." But he said, "You are idle, you are idle. That is why you say, 'Let us go and sacrifice to the Lord.' Go now and work. No straw will be given to you, but you will still deliver the same number of bricks." The foremen of the people of Israel saw that they were in trouble, when they said, "You shall by no means reduce your number of bricks, your daily task each day." They met Moses and Aaron, who were waiting for them, and as they came out from Pharaoh, they said to them, "The Lord look on you and judge, because you have made us stink in the sight of Pharaoh and his servants, and have put a sword in their hand to kill us." Then Moses turned to the Lord and said, "O Lord, why have you done evil to this people? Why did you ever send me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to his people, and you have not delivered your people at all."
But the Lord said to Moses, "Now you shall see what I will do to Pharaoh. For with a strong hand he will send them out, and with a strong hand he will drive them out of his land." God spoke to Moses and said to him, "I am the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, as God Almighty, but by my name, the Lord, I did not make myself known to them. I also established my covenant with them, to give them the land of Canaan, the land which they lived as sojourners. Moreover, I have heard the groaning of my people Israel, whom the Egyptians hold as slaves, and I have remembered my covenant. Say therefore to the people of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will deliver you from slavery to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great acts of judgment. I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God, and you shall know that I am the Lord your God, who has brought you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. I will bring you into the land that I swore to give Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. I will give it to you for a possession. I am the Lord." Moses spoke thus to the people of Israel, but they did not listen to Moses, because of their broken spirit and harsh slavery. So the Lord said to Moses, "Go in, tell Pharaoh king of Egypt, to let the people of Israel go out of his land." But Moses said to the Lord, "Behold, the people of Israel have not listened to me. How then shall Pharaoh listen to me? For I am of uncircumcised lips." But the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron and gave them a charge about the people of Israel and about Pharaoh king of Egypt, to bring the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt. These are the heads of their fathers' houses: the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. These are the clans of Reuben. The sons of Simeon, Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, the son of a Canaanite woman. These are the clans of Simeon. These are the names of the sons of Levi according to their generations: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari, the years of the life of Levi being 137 years. The sons of Gershon, Libni and Shimi, by their clans. The sons of Kohath, Amam, Izhar, Hebon, Uzziel, the years of the life of Kohath being 133 years. The sons of Merari, Mahali and Mushi. These are the clans of the Levites according to their generations. Amram took as his wife Jochebed, his father's sister, and she bore him Aaron and Moses, the years of the life of Amram being 137 years. The sons of Izhar, Korah, Nepheg, and Zikri. The sons of Uzziel, Mishael, Eslaphan, and Sithri. Aaron took as his wife Elisheba, the daughter of Aminadab, the sister of Nashon, and she bore him Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. The sons of Korah, Asir, Elkanah, and Abasaph. These are the clans of the Korathites. Eleazar, Aaron's son, took as his wife one of the daughters of Petuel, and she bore him Phinehas. These are the heads of the fathers' houses of the Levites by their clans. These are Aaron and Moses, to whom the Lord said, "Bring out the people of Israel from the land of Egypt by their hosts." It was they who spoke to Pharaoh the king of Egypt about bringing out the people of Israel from Egypt, this Moses and this Aaron. On the day when the Lord spoke to Moses in the land of Egypt, the Lord said to Moses, "I am the Lord. Tell Pharaoh the king of Egypt all that I say to you." But Moses said to the Lord, "Behold, I am of uncircumcised lips. How will Pharaoh listen to me?"
Thanks so much for listening to God's Plan, Your Part. If anything stuck out to you, if you have any questions, or if you'd like to receive a Bible, you can email us at godsplanyourpart@gmail.com. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, please consider supporting us through the link in our description. We love that you're on this journey with us, and we hope you have a great day. See you tomorrow.